They just cut me off financially right in the middle of dinner in Greenwich, Connecticut, and 5 minutes later, my phone buzzes, turning me from the family outcast into a millionaire in a heartbeat, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, making my heart race amid the stunned silence at the dinner table. I'm Cara Mitchell, 28, the black sheep of a prestigious Greenwich family, labeled off track for skipping the Ivy League path like my siblings, and tonight, December 10th, 2024, I sit at a 10-foot-long dining table under a glittering chandelier, the aroma of pricey steak filling the air, but no one expects this moment to flip my life upside down. My family, Wall Street tycoon parents, Harvard grad brother Ethan, Yale alum sister Lila, and relatives with sky-high expectations, always saw me as the unspoken child because I dared to ditch elite colleges for self-taught coding and a startup. My dad glares over his gold-rimmed glasses, voice icy. "You bring no honor to this family, no more money from us." Mom nods. "You're just a burden with your crazy ideas." My siblings scoff. "Your startup? Probably just a kid's game." I sit there, face burning, tears welling, feeling like my world's collapsing, a decade of being belittled, called a failure for not being like them, now severed financially, like a sharp knife. But 5 minutes later, as I quietly step away from the table, my phone buzzes, a call from SoftBank, the voice on the line booming. "Congratulations, your company just secured a $40 million investment. Current valuation, $100 million. I'm floored, heart pounding, unable to believe my startup, Secure Health, just made me a millionaire CEO right in front of my family. I turn back to the table, meeting my parents' shocked stares, my siblings' dead silence, like a time bomb exploding, flipping every ounce of disdain they ever threw at me. They never expected their off-track daughter to prove her worth without their approval, and that moment is the sweetest victory of my life. I can't forget the crushing expectations of my prestigious Greenwich family, where I was always the unspoken child, and now, I must look back on my journey to understand why they chose to cut me off that night. I have to retrace my journey to understand why they chose to cut me off that night, after my family announced they were pulling financial support during dinner in Greenwich, Connecticut. After a call turned me into a millionaire just 5 minutes later, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying the pain of being scorned by my own prestigious family. I grew up in a powerful Greenwich household. My parents, Wall Street tycoons, ran an investment firm worth hundreds of millions. My brother Ethan, a Harvard grad, worked as a lawyer. My sister Lila, a Yale alum, thrived in investment banking, and our relatives were all big names in high society. They placed crushing expectations on me from childhood. I had to attend private schools, join elite clubs, and follow the Ivy League path like my siblings. But I was different. I didn't want to be their clone. I dreamed of coding and startups, and that made me off track. My dad, voice stern through pricey glasses, often said, "You must bring honor to this family, not chase your crazy ideas." Mom added, "Ethan and Lila make us proud. You're just a burden with your useless dreams." I remember family dinners where my siblings bragged about their $2 million homes, shiny new Porsches, and city council campaigns, while I got, "Where's your startup? Probably just a kid's game." I sat there, face burning, feeling stabbed, always the unspoken child. They didn't celebrate when I taught myself to code, didn't acknowledge my MIT scholarship, just because I didn't follow their playbook. My family lived in lavish mansions, through parties with live orchestras, but for me, it was a place where I was sidelined, called a failure for daring to be different. Those years, like a scar that never heals, left me questioning my worth, but they also lit a fire of determination. I'd prove my value, no matter their approval. How could I have known that journey would lead me to a different path, where I rejected the Ivy League to self-teach coding and plant the seeds for my startup, Secure Health? That journey led me to a different path, where I rejected the Ivy League to self-teach coding and plant the seeds for my startup, Secure Health. After my prestigious Greenwich, Connecticut, family labeled me the unspoken child, for defying their rigid expectations after they cut me off financially at dinner, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying a resolve I couldn't quench. In 2014, at 18, my family pushed me to apply to Harvard and Yale like my siblings, but I refused. I didn't want to be their clone, a lawyer or banker in $1,000 suits. Instead, I chose to self-learn coding through free Coursera courses, spending hours in my small Greenwich bedroom with a beat-up $300 laptop, writing my first lines of code amid my siblings' mockery. "What? You think you're some tech genius?" I didn't let their disdain break me. I devoured programming books, joined coder communities on Reddit, and spent the summer mastering Python, sleeping just 4 hours a night. The turning point came when I earned a full scholarship to MIT's software engineering program in 2015, but my family didn't celebrate. Dad just said, "You still don't bring honor like Ethan or Lila." I left Greenwich with $500 in savings, moved to Cambridge, Massachusetts, into a cramped 200-square-foot dorm, cooking my own meals and working part-time at a coffee shop for $10 an hour. I didn't need their approval. I chose my path, even if it made me off track, even if they called me a failure for not following their blueprint. Those long nights coding, the times roommates laughed at my pipe dreams, left scars that never fully heal, but they also fueled my fire. I'd prove my difference with strength, not weakness. How could I have known this journey would lead me to sow the seeds for Secure Health, a startup idea I nurtured from those self-taught coding days? That journey led me to sow the seeds for Secure Health, a startup idea I nurtured from my self-taught coding days, after rejecting the Ivy League and earning an MIT scholarship to forge my own path in Cambridge, Massachusetts, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying hope amid the scorn from my Greenwich, Connecticut, family. The idea for Secure Health hit me in spring 2016 when I saw a 70-year-old patient wait over 3 hours in a Boston, Massachusetts, ER while doctors drowned in paperwork. Sitting there with my beat-up laptop, I wondered, how can tech fix this? From that moment, I started building an AI platform to connect medical professionals with patients in real time, cutting wait times and streamlining schedules. I spent nights in my MIT dorm, coding from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., fueled by black coffee, with just $200 from my coffee shop job as my initial budget. My family had no clue. They still thought I was playing with computers for nothing, but I quietly chased my dream, coding through my roommate's mockery. What? You think you're Bill Gates? The breakthrough came when I finished the first demo by late 2016, a simple but effective app, and I named it Secure Health, a symbol of the safety and care I wanted to deliver. But the path wasn't smooth. I pitched the demo to 10 early investors, all of whom rejected me, saying, "This idea is too risky," or laughing, "What does a girl know about tech?" I nearly gave up, but in March 2017, a female angel investor named Jessica from San Francisco, after seeing my demo on Zoom, believed in me. She invested $200,000 saying, "Girls like you are the future of tech." Her words, like a healing shot, made my heart race. Knowing I didn't need my family's approval, I had someone who saw my true worth. How could I have known this journey would lead to lonely coding nights, fundraising struggles, and a major break from a San Francisco hospital, that journey led me to lonely coding nights and brutal fundraising battles, after planting the seeds for Secure Health inspired by a patient's wait in Boston, Massachusetts, after securing $200,000 from a San Francisco angel investor. Like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying challenges, but also an unquenchable fire of determination. After landing that initial investment in March 2017, I dove into building Secure Health, hunched over my beat-up laptop in my Cambridge, Massachusetts dorm room, coding from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., eyes bloodshot from sleep deprivation and complex algorithms. I taught myself AI and medical data through online courses, chugging black coffee to stay awake, with just $150 left after rent and groceries. Those days were isolating. Roommates mocked me. "What's that app gonna do? Go back to an Ivy League." But I pressed on, believing my platform could transform patient care. The biggest hurdle came with fundraising. I pitched my demo to 37 investors throughout 2017, but most shot me down. "This idea is too risky," one in New York said, while another in San Diego sneered, "What does a girl know about healthcare tech?" Those 37 rejections, each a sharp stab, made me question if my family was right to call me a failure. But I didn't fold. I refined the product, optimized the AI algorithms, and came back fiercer. The turning point hit at a startup conference in Austin, Texas, in September 2017, where I reconnected with Jessica, my angel investor. She reviewed my updated demo, nodded approvingly. "You've pushed through the grind. I'm investing another $300,000 to take Secure Health to the next level." Her words, like a healing shot, made my heart race, knowing I'd proven myself without my Greenwich family support. Those sleepless coding nights, sweat dripping onto the keyboard, left scars that never fully heal, but they were proof of my grit. I didn't need them. I'd build my own empire. How could I have known this journey would lead to a game-changing break from a San Francisco hospital, where Secure Health would take off and change everything? That journey led me to a game-changing break at a San Francisco hospital, where Secure Health took off and changed everything, after lonely coding nights and 37 investor rejections. After securing an additional $300,000 from Jessica in Cambridge, Massachusetts, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying a pivotal moment I never saw coming. In January 2018, I brought Secure Health's AI platform, linking medical pros with patients, to Mercy General Hospital in San Francisco, California, hoping for a real-world test. I stood before the board in a chilly conference room, heart pounding, knowing this was my last shot to prove my worth after countless investor numbers. After 2 hours of discussion, they greenlit a 3-month trial with 50 doctors and 1,000 patients. I worked nonstop, flying between Cambridge and San Francisco, tweaking algorithms to slash appointment wait times from 3 hours to 20 minutes. The results rolled in by April 2018. The hospital reported an 80% efficiency boost, and I got an email from the director. We want to scale nationwide. Your company is the future of healthcare. My heart raced, like a sweet stab, knowing my startup dream had come true. From there, Secure Health snowballed. I hired a team of 10 engineers in San Francisco, raised another $2 million from venture funds, and prepped for an IPO with Goldman Sachs in November 2024, with the company valued at $100 million. Those days of cross-country flights, sleeping in plane seats, eating $5 sandwiches to save cash, left scars that never fully heal, but they proved my grit. I did it without my Greenwich, Connecticut, family's approval. They had no clue, still thinking I was messing with computers for nothing, but now, I stood on the brink of massive success, ready to face them as a CEO. How could I have known this journey would lead to that fateful dinner where my family cut me off financially, only to watch me become a millionaire right before their eyes? That journey led me to a fateful dinner where my family announced they were cutting me off financially, only to witness me become a millionaire before their eyes, after Secure Health soared from a San Francisco hospital, after I prepped for an IPO with Goldman Sachs in Cambridge, Massachusetts, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying tension and a pivotal moment ready to explode. On the evening of December 10th, 2024, I returned to Greenwich, Connecticut, for a family dinner at my parents' lavish mansion, where a glittering chandelier lit a 12-foot dining table draped in a $200 silk cloth. The family gathered, my parents in designer suits and gowns, my brother Ethan bragging about his new $2.5 million house, my sister Lila gushing over her new Porsche, and relatives swapping city council campaign stories. But me, in a simple button-up with my laptop in tow, instantly became the target of familiar disdain. Dad glanced over, voice icy. You brought that computer again? Where's your startup? Just a kid's game. Mom chimed in. Ethan and Lila bring us honor. You're a burden with your crazy ideas. My siblings laughed. Secure Health? Probably some free app on the App Store. I sat there, face burning, feeling stabbed, as they flaunted their wins. Ethan boasted about a $1 million lawsuit victory. Lila touted her $500,000 campaign budget, while I was dismissed as the slacker playing with computers. Relatives piled on. Uncle David smirked. This girl still hasn't grown up. She should learn from her siblings, while Aunt Linda whispered, a prestigious family like ours doesn't need her kind. I bit my lip, staying silent, but my heart pounded. A decade of being belittled, called off track for skipping the Ivy League, now scorned even as I quietly built a tech empire. Their cutting words, like a scar that never heals, made me question my worth, but they also fueled my fire. I wouldn't let them define me. I stepped away from the table, about to leave, when my phone buzzed, a call I never expected would change everything. How could I have known their abrupt declaration would lead to $1 million twist, right in front of those who turned their backs on me? My family's abrupt declaration led to $1 million twist right before those who turned their backs on me, after they gathered in Greenwich, Connecticut, hurling familiar scorn, after I silently endured under the glittering chandelier, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying a fateful moment ready to explode. On the evening of December 10th, 2024, after my siblings bragged about their new house and Porsche, the air in the Greenwich Mansion's dining room grew heavy. Dad stood, his gold-rimmed glasses glinting, voice icy. We need to talk seriously. You bring no honor to this family. Mom nodded, her gaze sharp. Your startup nonsense is a kid's game. From now on, we're cutting you off financially. I froze, heart pounding like I'd been stabbed, as Ethan piled on. You don't deserve this family. Fend for yourself. Lila smirked. Secure Health? What? You think you're Steve Jobs? Relatives chimed in. Uncle David nodded. You need to grow up, not chase dreams, while Aunt Linda whispered, a prestigious family doesn't need your kind. I sat there, face burning, tears welling, feeling like my world was collapsing, a decade as the unspoken child, now fully severed, as if I didn't exist to them. Dad continued, you have 24 hours to leave this house. No money, no support. Swim on your own. His words, like a bolt from a clear sky, chilled me. I'd sacrificed so much, ditched the Ivy League, taught myself coding, built Secure Health, but they didn't care. I stood to leave, then my phone buzzed, a call from an unknown number and a voice boomed. Congratulations, Secure Health just secured a $40 million investment from SoftBank. Your company's now worth $100 million. My heart raced, disbelief washing over me, like a time bomb detonating in front of my family. I turned back, meeting my parents' stunned stares, my siblings' dead silence. I knew this moment would change everything. How could I have known this $1 million twist would lead to my family's shocked expressions, forced to face the truth they'd always scorned? That moment led me to face my old family crawling back for money, forcing me to set clear boundaries. After the $1 million twist left them stunned in Greenwich, Connecticut. After I announced my company's $100 million valuation right in front of them at that fateful dinner, like a fierce storm tearing through the Texas plains, carrying a sudden shift in the attitudes of those who'd turned their backs. On December 11th, 2024, just a day after they cut me off financially, my phone buzzed nonstop. Text from Dad, "Kara, we need to talk. I want to invest in Secure Health." Mom called right after, her voice unnaturally sweet. "You've done so well. I need advice for the family's charity. Maybe a few $100,000? My brother Ethan messaged, "Can you hook me up with investors for my lawsuit? Need $1 million to win." My sister Lila whispered over the phone, "Secure Health could back my campaign, just a few $100,000, sis." Relatives joined in. Uncle David suggested, "Can you help me start a small business with $50,000? While Aunt Linda asked, "The family needs good PR. Can you sponsor a gala?" I stood in my small Cambridge, Massachusetts, apartment, heart pounding like I'd been stabbed. Just 24 hours ago, they called me a failure, kicked me out with mocking words, and now they were back for my money and clout. My face burned, tears welled, but I refused to let pain define me. I'd built Secure Health from $200, survived 37 rejections, and now they thought I was their ATM? I recalled their shocked stares when I dropped the $100 million bombshell, and their fakeness chilled me, like the world collapsed and rebuilt. Dad texted again, "You're a pride, let me join the company," but I knew it was a lie to exploit me. I resolved not to cave. I wouldn't let them ruin my success like they'd crushed my dreams in Greenwich. Those years as the unspoken child, scorned for skipping the Ivy League, fueled me. I'd set boundaries, no longer letting them define me. I thought of the lonely coding nights, sweat dripping onto the keyboard, and knew I earned this, not for them, but for me. How could I have known this journey would lead me to push back hard, rejecting their meddling in my company and reconnecting with the one relative who'd genuinely celebrate my success? That journey led me to push back hard, rejecting all their attempts to meddle in my company, after my family came crawling back for money in Greenwich, Connecticut. After their fake change of heart sparked by Secure Health's $100 million valuation, carrying a resolve to set boundaries I wouldn't budge on. On December 12th, 2024, I stood in my small Cambridge, Massachusetts apartment, staring at the flood of texts and calls from my family. Dad texted, "Give me 10% of the shares." Mom called, her voice unnaturally sweet, "Help with my charity campaign, just a few $100,000. My brother Ethan demanded, "Hook me up with investors, I need $1 million. My sister Lila whispered over the phone, "Can Secure Health back my campaign, just a few $100,000? Relatives piled on. Uncle David asked, "Can you fund my small business with $50,000? While Aunt Linda begged, "The family needs good PR, sponsor a gala?" My face burned, heart pounding like I'd been stabbed. Just 48 hours ago, they called me a failure, kicked me out with mockery, and now acted like I was their ATM. I decided to push back. I texted Dad, "I'm still the person you disowned an hour ago. No shares for you." Mom called again, pleading, "Don't be mad. I just want to collaborate." But I shot back, "No collaboration. I built this company alone, not with you." My siblings kept begging, Ethan for $1 million, Lila for campaign cash, but I cut them off on the phone. "I'm not your bank. Request denied." Relatives got the same. David's $50,000 pitch, Linda's gala plea, but I messaged, "If you only want me for money, don't bother." I locked my phone, sank into a chair, silent tears falling, not from sadness, but because I knew I was stronger than they thought. Those years as the unspoken child in Greenwich, the sleepless nights coding through 37 rejections, fueled my strength. I wouldn't let them ruin my success. I drafted an email to the family, "I don't need your approval. Secure Health is mine, and I'll protect it. Don't contact me for money again." That rejection felt like radiant light, knowing I didn't need them to define my worth. How could I have known this journey would lead me to reconnect with the one relative who truly understood, who'd celebrate my success sincerely, not for gain, That journey led me to reconnect with the one relative who truly understood me, who'd celebrate my success sincerely, after I pushed back and set boundaries with my family in Cambridge, Massachusetts. After rejecting their meddling in Secure Health in Greenwich, Connecticut, carrying hope of finding understanding amid years of disdain. On December 13th, 2024, after emailing my family's rejection, I got a call from Aunt Patricia, my dad's sister, a college professor in New Haven, Connecticut, who'd always been quiet but had a knowing empathy in her eyes. Her voice trembled. "Are you free, Kara? I'd love to see you, I'm so proud." I drove to her modest 1,200 square foot home, books stacked high, heart pounding, unsure if this was more family fakeness or something real. She hugged me, tears streaming. "You've done what they never believed in. I always knew you had talent, from those days coding on that old laptop in Greenwich." I froze, struck by a sweet pang. A decade as the unspoken child, scorned for skipping the Ivy League, now seen by someone who got it. She shared, I saw how they treated you, but I wasn't brave enough to stand up. I'm sorry for staying silent. We sat on her worn sofa, munching her homemade cookies, and I opened up about ditching Harvard, teaching myself to code, and the $1 million secure health twist. She nodded. You didn't need them. You proved your worth on your own. We celebrated simply, no lavish parties like my family's, just laughter and stories, like a bomb healing my Greenwich scars. She said, real family sees you, not just those who raised you. I'm always here. Her words moved me, knowing I wasn't alone. I had one relative who understood, not for money or fame. How could I have known this journey would lead to a blockbuster IPO, where I'd witness Secure Health's real impact nationwide, that journey led me to a blockbuster IPO, where I witnessed Secure Health's nationwide impact, after reconnecting with Aunt Patricia in New Haven, Connecticut, after celebrating my success sincerely, carrying hope that I'd change thousands of lives. On December 15, 2024, Secure Health went public on NASDAQ, its valuation soaring to $220 million in the first few hours of trading, a milestone I never dreamed of while coding alone in my Cambridge, Massachusetts, dorm. I stood in our San Francisco, California, office, watching the stock ticker flash, heart pounding like a sweet stab. From a $200 start, I built a tech empire my Greenwich family couldn't fathom. The platform connected over 30,000 patients daily across 450 U.S. hospitals, slashing appointment wait times from 3 hours to 15 minutes, with hundreds of doctors emailing, "Thank you for changing how we work." I thought back to those 37 rejections, sleepless nights tweaking algorithms, and now, this success wasn't just mine. It belonged to the patients saved by my tech. I threw a celebration at the office with our 50 engineers and staff. No Greenwich-style extravagance, just $20 pizzas and hearty laughs. A Chicago nurse messaged, "My daughter was diagnosed in time thanks to Secure Health. Thank you." Her words brought tears. Knowing I didn't need my family's approval, I'd made a real impact, not the hollow prestige they chased. Those years as the unspoken child fueled me. I didn't build this company to prove them wrong, but to change the world. I faced my team, voice trembling. We're not just building tech, we're saving lives. How could I have known this journey would lead me to found the Mitchell Innovation Foundation, using my success to lift up others' opportunities? That journey led me to establish the Mitchell Innovation Foundation, using my success to uplift others' opportunities, after Secure Health's blockbuster IPO hit $220 million in San Francisco, California, after witnessing its real impact on 30,000 daily patients, carrying hope that I'd redefine my legacy. On December 20th, 2024, days after the IPO, I sat with Nathan in our Brooklyn, New York, office, legal papers sprawled across the desk, discussing how to give back with Secure Health's success. I looked at him, voice trembling with emotion. "Mitchell, for the first time, I'm claiming this name as a legacy I define, not to please my Greenwich, Connecticut, family." The Mitchell Innovation Foundation was born, aimed at supporting minority girls in STEM, with me investing $1 million from Secure Health profits, plus $500,000 from other donors, to offer free coding classes and $5,000 annual scholarships for 20 students. I recalled being the unspoken child in Greenwich, scorned for skipping the Ivy League, and now I wanted to empower girls like me, dismissed as failures for daring to be different. The foundation launched its first class in Harlem, New York on December 28, 2024, with 15 students, and I stood before them, tablet in hand, teaching Python, silent tears falling as a 14-year-old girl said, "Thank you, I never thought I could do this." Her words hit like a beam through the dark, my heart racing, knowing I wasn't just building a company, I was shaping futures. Nathan stood beside me, holding my hand. "You've turned pain into power. This is your true legacy, not what your old family forced on you." The foundation wasn't just about money. It was proof that success doesn't need family approval, but creates value for society, from those 37 rejections and being cut off financially, now fueling my drive to lift others. I hosted a workshop where the girls drew their dreams, and I saw myself in their eyes. Abandoned kids now given a chance to shine. How could I have known this journey would lead me to face my family on my own terms, maintaining firm boundaries and no longer seeking their validation? That journey led me to face my family on my own terms, maintaining firm boundaries and no longer seeking their approval, after founding the Mitchell Innovation Foundation in Brooklyn, New York, after using Secure Health's success to uplift girls in Harlem, carrying hope that I'd control my ties with my old family. On December 30th, 2024, my family invited me to my brother Ethan's wedding in Greenwich, Connecticut, a lavish affair with 200 guests, glittering chandeliers, and a 15-foot dining table draped in a $300 silk cloth. I arrived in a simple $200 black suit, no flash like my siblings, but brimming with confidence from Secure Health's $220 million valuation. My parents approached, fake smiles plastered on. "You're the family's pride. Invest in Dad's charity campaign." I replied, voice steady. I'm here as a guest, no financial involvement. My siblings, Ethan and Lila, tried next. Can Secure Health fund our campaigns or lawsuits? But I cut them off. No, I've set boundaries and you don't cross them. Relatives like Uncle David and Aunt Linda fawned. You're a CEO now, help the family out. But I shook my head. I'm here for connection, not cash. I kept my distance. No hugs like they expected, no business talk, just light social chatter. Dad asked, won't you forgive us? And I said, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I don't need your approval anymore. Their silence, sharp as a blade, echoed the days I was the unspoken child. But now it didn't hurt. I felt radiant light, knowing I controlled this relationship. I left the party early, hand in hand with Aunt Patricia, the only one who got me, and we laughed on the drive back. No need for my family's extravagance. Those years of scorn in Greenwich were now just the past. I didn't chase their validation. I held the relationship on my terms. How could I have known this journey would lead to an inspiring message, sharing that rejection can be a gift to claim your own worth. / that journey led me to an inspiring message, sharing that rejection can be a gift to claim your own worth. After facing my family on my terms in Greenwich, Connecticut, after maintaining firm boundaries and seeking no validation, carrying hope to motivate others. In December 2024, after leaving my brother Ethan's wedding, I stood before the mirror in my Brooklyn, New York apartment, reflecting on my path from being the unspoken child, cut off financially, to Secure Health hitting $220 million. Their rejection, the scornful words, 37 fundraising rejections, and the brutal cutoff at that fateful dinner was a gift I didn't see then. It shoved me out of my comfort zone, forcing me to self-teach coding, build a startup from $200, and prove the worth they ignored. I told myself, rejection is sometimes a gift. It gave me freedom to become who I wanted. I recalled those lonely coding nights in Cambridge, Massachusetts, sweat dripping onto the keyboard, and now I knew true success didn't need family approval. It was pride in what I'd built. I started sharing this story at startup forums in Austin, Texas, telling a crowd of 50, build what makes you proud, even if no one believes in you. Your worth isn't in their recognition, but in daring to rise. A 19-year-old approached. You gave me courage to pursue coding, and my heart raced, like light piercing the dark, knowing I'd won for more than just myself. Those years of disdain in Greenwich became lessons. I didn't need them. I had Aunt Patricia, friends, and my Secure Health team. How could I have known this journey would lead to a powerful call to action, inviting Texans to share their stories and find validation within themselves? / that journey led me to a bold call to action, inviting you in Texas to share your stories and find validation within yourselves. After I inspired with a message, rejection can be a gift in Brooklyn, New York, after building true success without my Greenwich, Connecticut, family's approval, carrying hope that you can rise too. By late 2024, after Secure Health hit $220 million and the Mitchell Innovation Foundation empowered dozens of STEM girls, I realized success isn't just money, it's pride in myself, despite being called the unspoken child. I want to ask you in Texas, have you ever been scorned for not meeting family expectations? Heard things like, you're a disgrace, or follow our path? If so, drop your story in the comments. Each one's a spark to burn that disdain. Proof you're not alone. Hit like if you've chosen freedom over fakeness, and subscribe today to join me in uncovering more stories of overcoming family drama and startup struggles on this channel. I promise to bring inspiring tales like mine, from being cut off financially to $1 million twist. I went from $200 through 37 rejections to stand tall with a $220 million company, and you can too. Don't let family define you. Own your worth, like I did. Thanks for following my story. Rise up, find your light, and tell me how you've pushed through. This isn't the end. It's the start of writing your own story, /.